the players appears to be shuffling up and drawing the opening hands here. Travis Williams on the left and Ty on the right. We see Ty leading us off with a recruitment officer. I know my alt darts. I know
There
that
you
one.
go. Well done. Yeah, I did some prep work with somebody for one of the broadcasts one time, and they had a flashcard system with all of
Mhm.
the alt arts, but not the name of the card.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you, there were 500 something cards in OTJ plus everything it could come, and it was a challenge.
Yeah, there's a lot of alt arts in OTJ. You got the big, well, I guess the big score cards don't necessarily have all.
You
Some of
just
them
a
do.
bunch of different sets, right? A bunch of
Yeah,
just different
exactly.
cards you can look at.
Yeah.
But yeah, recruitment officer number 2 coming down along with the Dauntless.
Yeah, bodyguard's going to go ahead and protect that recruitment officer if Ty so chooses. Now, as far as the matchup is concerned, I think this matchup is generally, I would say, pretty close. I think maybe
Yeah.
Phoenix is slightly ahead because they just have so much of the red removal to be able to fight through. But the sometimes the humans player can have a uncontested Thalia or protected Dahlia in that case with either Dauntless Bodyguard or brave the elements or something along those lines. As we see an attack here, we're going to get in Adeline. No removal spell here
This
for Travis.
this
That's a
one of the
tough
ways
spot.
the game gets out of control immediately, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Adeline is a card that snowballs out of control very quickly.
So, I mean, I was going to say, I don't know how much this comes down to play draw. On the one hand, is that Phoenix on the draw would have access to more removal, but on the other hand, it can get overrun. And this is looking like an overrun game. The first creature ate a removal spell, but that meant there weren't any for the follow up. And basically, once you get the first attack in with Adeline, it feels, I'm not going to say unlosable, but the 4 toughness, the snowballing advantage, it gets out of control very, very quickly. So, if you're Travis now, on Phoenix, you're about to start just your third turn already staring down what feels like lethal. You need to get something going. I see one Phoenix in hand, one fiery impulse. Both of those you're going to hope to do something with. Here's a consider for
Okay,
a
I
lightning.
was gonna say Travis needs to find an axe this turn,
Yeah,
and right as I was about to say that, does find one right off the top of the library. So one spell already cast this turn. Now, if you count the graveyard, there are 5 cards. You can go axe, discard Phoenix, that gets you to 7.
yeah.
But the thing is, you don't want to. Okay, we're just gonna kill everything. So fiery impulse is gonna kill the bodyguard. Play the pathway on red. We're gonna go axe, discard Phoenix, kill the Adeline, and then I would presume leave the Phoenix on defense here. But this is a really good turn here for Travis.
It was. This is exactly what Travis needed to get back in this game because that was threatening for Ty to just be an overrun type game where it just ends on turn 4. But instead, Travis able to thread the needle, get the removal in there, and finish it all off with a Phoenix coming back to block, which is all just huge for him here. And now, as it always seems to do, the treasure cruise is sort of the last piece that feels pretty crushing. And just like that, this thing swung. Ty was in such a good spot. Now just sitting on a recruitment officer, I guess, could activate. But just like that, it feels like Travis is in almost full control.
Yeah, this game is a lot different if that lightning axe does not come off the top of the library that turn for Travis, and that Adeline can just kind of crunch back in. Even with the Phoenix, you could chump block the Adeline for a turn, but
Hmm.
you're not really making any headway in terms of actual battlefield presence. And see a shredder here, and okay, we get a little activation off recruitment officer, looking for probably a lieutenant, and Adeline is not bad. Okay.
Yeah, especially when Travis is tapped out, you can get yourself a trigger. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be enough to get you back in it, but hey, it is nice if you're playing this on a white deck. The recruitment officer is giving you that late game ability to activate and get some cards back. You hope it doesn't come up. You hope you've just won the game by then, but sometimes it can. And here you go, Thalia's lieutenant hits the battlefield, puts counters on these, and we'll see where Ty goes from here. Looks like an attack for 3.
Yeah, I believe the leftovers here for Ty are Thalia, and then the last 2 cards in hand are Adeline and Brave the Elements. So, we did talk about, Travis having that really good turn, but Ty was able to kind of, muster up a good battlefield presence, and that Brave the Elements could potentially spell the end of the game at some point if we are able to get enough power into play. Now, worth noting, the Brave the Elements does cost 2 mana for the Thalia
Right.
to do the Thalia attack. So even if Ty does not draw an untapped land, is not going to be able to go Adeline into Brave in the same turn.
Yeah, and honestly, for Ty being able to just spend the mana so efficiently there was huge. Like if
Yep.
you the Adeline would have left you 1 mana not spent, and that would have been fine, but able to deploy the lieutenant, get an attack in, and then to follow it up with Athalia to now tax everything Travis does. And Travis wants to be casting a bunch of spells, which means if it doesn't start with a removal spell pointed at Thalia, a lot of things are going to get taxed, and that's what you're seeing happen here. And for Ty, no big deal. You pay 2 mana for your Brave the Elements. You swing in for what you hope might be lethal, and it's close, like 1, 2, 5, 7, 9 right now ish. So getting very close, Ty is to possibly ending the game.
Yeah, and I had mentioned Thalia being the card that, is really the difference in this matchup. Whether you have it, if you have it in the play, obviously it's very, very good. If your opponent doesn't, like you said, kill it immediately, every single spell costs 2 more. But even in these spots, this is what turn 4, turn 5, and that Thalia is coming into play. It's still doing quite a bit of work here. Travis is not
Yeah.
really able to effectively, is double spelling, but maybe not in the way that he would want to. He would much prefer to like, cantrip, removal spell, do something, and is extremely limited on the amount of actual actions he can take, which this Phoenix deck does like to take a lot of actions.
Yeah, these he is double spelling, but I don't know if these are the spells that Travis was hoping for
Yeah.
because there are no phoenixes in the graveyard. All these cantrips just do nothing. It's just complete air. Just sitting back on block on defense. Now, this isn't the worst defense, got flyers, but tied now just a few points away. So that Brave the Elements in hand does not represent lethal quite yet in terms of just giving creatures protection from a color, especially since Travis does have 2 colors of blockers thanks to the Phoenix. But Ty's in a pretty good spot. Just has to figure out how he wants to force through damage in this position.
Yeah, that's a very good point you bring up where Brave the Elements only gives you protection from one specific color. And because there's the Phoenix and the 2 blue creatures, then, you say you give Pro Blue, Phoenix can chump block the biggest creature, which is, or I guess in this case, trade for the biggest creature. It's only an attack for 6. So Travis is not super, not in the danger zone, as we like to call it.
Right.
But potential there. So I think what's going to happen here is Ty is going to cast the Adeline and then probably not attack, and then next turn can set up for something like Coppercoat Vanguard plus Brave, send in the clowns, and maybe hope that's good enough. Travis really needs to find some red cards, specifically, the removal spells to be able to take care of the Thalia, but maybe Phoenix if there is any sort of way to get that Phoenix into the graveyard with like a Shredder activation or Shredder trigger rather.
Mhm.
And yeah, we'll have to see how Ty wants to take this turn. My guess is the Adeline's coming into play.
Yeah. And you know what? That was a good point too about the if you don't like the cantrips are good, but cantripping to find removal to then pay the tax on the removal as well, it's just very bad. Like basically, if you can't answer Thalia with your first spell cast, the advantage it gains the humans player is just gonna just overwhelm in all likelihood. And that's what we see. Um, an easy double spell
Okay.
from Ty, able to put down
Hopeful initiate.
Adeline, and a hopeful initiate. So just completely overloading the board here. If is able to poke through any damage this turn, is definitely setting up for Brave the Elements looking like a very, very, very possible lethal attack next turn.
Yeah, the hopeful initiate means that I may have gotten the hand wrong. I thought it was a brave, but it might have actually been brave or hopeful instead of brave, and therefore, the last card I
Ooh,
think might be a Coppercoat Vanguard. So we might not actually have the brave elements, which could be a little awkward. Now, the question is, do we have an attack with the lieutenant? So the Shredder is currently a 4/6. If you attack with Lieutenant, you make a token off of the Adeline to make the Lieutenant a 5/5. So no attacks there. And Travis picked up a copy of Fiery Impulse, like we said, wanted
that's
to
a
draw
huge
those
one.
red cards.
Yeah, that's huge right here because this definitely could change how this goes. We've got 3 counters now in Folly's Lieutenant, so it's starting to get pretty big itself. But look at Legend Shredder. They got 3 counters on it as well. Travis now feeling, I think, pretty confident. Fiery Impulse starts it off, but you can assume that's pointed at Thalia. It hits the bin. Travis's hand is now unlocked. We've got 2 lands, the ability to cast 3 spells if you want it. There's Consider, Trigger, Ledger Shredder, digging for birds at this point, so you can start doing Phoenix things.
Ledger Shredder's been hitting the gym lately.
That's right. Look at this. Consider, respond to the trigger, respond to the consider. Just to look at the most things possible, I guess, to
Yeah.
try to get those birds into the graveyard. Very nice technical play there by Travis. Doesn't reward this particular time, but a nice play to take note of.
Yeah, very, very heads up play in terms of sequencing. Like you said, just give you the maximum number of looks at Phoenix, where you respond to the connive trigger and play another cantrip. It just gets you a little bit deeper, and yeah, something that doesn't come up too often, but it is it comes up often enough that it's very, very important when it does. And yeah, like you said,
That's
no birds here. Now there is a time walk, and by time walk I mean temporal trespass in
right.
Travis's hands. So potentially doing some math on, okay, if I attack with something this turn, and then I want to make it so I have a 2 turn clock in play to set up the trespass next turn, but obviously doesn't want to attack with too much and threaten, a top deck Brave the Elements or some other sort of kill from tie, so has to play a little bit carefully. But I presume at least, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. The shredder and the pick lock. So you have two blockers of different colors,
Yeah.
and then it still sets up a 2 turn lethal with that trespass.
Yeah, very nicely done as well. And look, I'm just looking down at the bottom, taking note as we march towards a possible finale. Here's Lightning Axe takes out Adeline. First match goes down. Kin Minyan takes Azorius control to a win over Casey Moon on Domain Ramp and Standard. So Ty's team up a game, but Ty in a very tight spot deep in game one here of the semifinals of the 10K Team Trio Showdown, the NRG Championship here in Indianapolis. Travis Williams on Instant Phoenix has done a really nice job of pulling out of this one when it looked at times like Ty's board just might overwhelm. But here we go. Big strike, turn them all sideways, attack you.
Okay, so I couldn't quite see what the card that was cast off screen. There is a creature
Mhm.
that Ty played pre-combat that is underneath the number 5, so I can't quite get a good look at what that was. Um, Maybe chat can confirm for us because I don't know if they got a glimpse of it, but I think it might be the Coppercoat Vanguard. So if that's the case, you see two blockers here. You block the
Yeah.
lieutenant and the recruitment officer, and then that would have you taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So pretty easy. Just yeah, okay. It looks like it was a Coppercoat Vanguard. So yeah, I mean, if you block the two biggest things, you're currently taking 6 damage. So not a ton to worry about. I think Travis doing some math here and seeing what if I let three creatures through, what can I die to?
Right.
Things of that nature. And these players do have open deck lists. So, Travis knows exactly what Ty has access to in terms of the instance.
Yeah, Travis is thinking it through here. Definitely has good options because, as you mentioned, has the extra turn spell in hand. So it's really just thinking through not just this combat, but what do I need over the next 2 turns that I'm going to have to actually end the game without giving Ty a window back in.
Yep. So there we go. A big attack here. If you're in Ty's spot, you're like, okay, well, I dealt my opponent 10 damage. I'm at 11. I'm not dead on board,
Yeah.
looking pretty good. But then here is the temporal trespass, and that is going to be the game.
He just pick them up. There we go. That'll do it. Temporal trespass looking very good in his Phoenix for Travis Williams, who gives his team the first win of the match. Not bad considering that his team is down a game in standard. So, all right, we're gonna swap over. Sorry, we don't have a, triple box here, but we are gonna swap over. to Justin and Vincent locked deep into a modern match where we've got Yawgmoth on one side as Yawgmoth is hitting the battlefield against Azorius Control from Justin Brickman with a whole lot of mana available.
Yeah, Justin's almost getting to Emrakul territory at this point. But yeah, I think this matchup is traditionally not the best for Yawgmoth. There's
No.
the control deck is very, very good at answering the threats when they're presented one by one. Now the Yawgmoth deck can sort of, set up spots where it is presenting more than one threat in a turn. And Yawgmoth can help do that, but nothing to sacrifice to the Yawgmoth here. A Grist on 4 can maybe generate some tokens, but not a lot else going on for Vincent here, and Justin's just sitting on 20 cards in hand. What it feels like.
Yeah.
So
As long as Justin has an answer to Yawgmoth here, it should be fine. And there we go. There's an answer to Grist. I assume that's some kind of fancy art from a new set, it looks like. And here comes the one ring. That'll give you protection. Um, Draw a card because you know what? Still have mana left over after this.
you know what? Kill your Yawgmoth too.
There we go. That basically I think will do it. It looks like full on top deck time for Vincent, which means it is likely to be another Azorius control victory soon to be picked up. And by soon I mean who knows how long from now.
Well, it's really a question of how many turns Vincent wants to play. These matches are untimed, so it's not like in a situation where if you're playing in the Swiss rounds of a tournament, you kind of have to keep the clock in it. The clock is a factor. You don't want to,
Mhm.
take too much time. But these top 8 matches, they're untimed, so Vincent's just kind of just hanging along for the ride. He knows he's basically dead at this point, and almost 0%. But just maybe there's a chance that Brickman doesn't find like what ends up happening in these spots is sometimes if your opponent doesn't just can't find a second copy of the ring,
Yeah.
there is the potential that they die to their own ring. Now, how often does that come up? Not that
Not
often,
often.
but it could happen.
Play to your outs, right?
Yeah, true.
I don't know how many of these players are veterans of the lantern control days. But that was always the question there: is how soon do you scoop to save time?
I still have nightmares about lantern control.
You just had to learn to play it. That's what I did. I just embraced it and played lantern control and learned to love it. Very sad that it's no longer playable. It won a pro tour though, so it will go down in Magic history.
Yeah. Funny enough, I did actually play against Lantern at my most recent FNM that I went to, which was this past
Oh
Friday.
heck
So
yeah! How was
still
it?
still got it. I got destroyed.
Oh wow! Okay, look at that. There's hope. You're telling me
There's
there's a
always hope.
chance. Not for Vincent though.
Probably not for Vincent, yeah. Talking about hope. Like, I'm trying to think of a sequence of draws that could potentially get Vincent out of this. It's like Grist, Mill, make a token. I'm trying. I'm scraping and I'm trying, but I'm not coming up with it.
Yeah, goes and grabs the Dryad Arbor. We may as well attack.
Bang. Beatdowns. What are you gonna
Oh
do,
no! How
Brickman?
rude!
Oh, just take the one. What's the worst that could happen?
He could just not do it and then block. It's even more rude.
Yeah, more life.
Gain the life.
Yeah, I think that's what Brickman is considering, or maybe there was some motioning. Yeah, because Solitude is up to, so you can choose not to exile anything with Solitude. So in this case, just choose
Block.
nothing, block, gain a little bit more life. Again, make sure you don't die to your own ring, because that's really the only way that Justin can
Yeah.
lose this game.
I was really rooting for that little Dryad Arbor. Unfortunately, it goes down in combat. So,
What could have been, you know?
yeah. All right. Well, yeah, Brickman looking very, very good here. So of course, this if Brickman picks this up, his team goes slightly in the lead here. But look, it's going back and forth. Tie. Mono White Humans dropped the match. Travis Williams or dropped the first game to Travis Williams on his Phoenix. So this is all three matches are very tight in this. And this is if you're in these games, you're looking at your teammates, you're going, "Oh, how are you doing? How are you doing? I lost the first game. I won the first game." And this is a tight moment. There's a lot of pressure.
All right. Okay, that Vincent has seen enough. Counterspell, you got me. All right. So Justin going to take still at all these. Look at these
Nice. That's
counterspells.
a lot.
Justin going to take game number one here over Vincent, and both of the Azorius control players taking a game here. The saving grace for the other team is Travis winning game number one against Mono White. We're going to take a look at standard here as players are in game number two. Again, domain on the left hand side of your screen, and man, this is I got to tell you, Corbin, this is not looking great for our 5-color domain opponent who has 3 Blaines and a Swamp in play.
Angel beatdown plan, I guess, but I can't say I've ever seen a domain player with that particular board state when it comes to lands. Um, and there's a mom in play over here for Kinman. Yeah, so uh, okay, and there you go, 3 steps ahead. I think that is so. That angel hits the graveyard. Another token comes out. This is wow, and just turn them sideways very quickly. Ken just scooping the Ken just turning him sideways, and that's it. Casey Moon scoops him up.
Casey's had enough.
Wow,
The
what a unlucky sequence of land draws for Casey. That's for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, the decision to sideboard into Orzhov Angels did not work out super well for Casey. So that's going to be the first match here, going to Kenmin EO in the standard seat on Azorius control. So I believe we might have both other matches in sideboarding right now.
Uh,
I would presume
go,
the Pioneer is the closest one to going on. What were we going to say?
I was just thinking about this, right? So double Azorius control. and
Mhm.
mono white humans. That's your lineup for the day. Ty has spent so many minutes watching his teammates play Magic
Oh
this week.
yeah.
You know, that's where my mind was at.
Maybe Ty was considering, like, Ty is in the position where he's like, okay, well, I want to learn how to play blue white control. So the best way to do that is play this mono white deck, finish all of my matches, and then I can
I
just watch my
I thought
teammates
about
play
that.
blue
Yeah.
white.
What if he's actually the secret blue white master there to give advice to both blue white
Oh.
teammates after finishing a mono white humans matchup? I don't know. Lots of conspiracy theories here. But in the meantime, double one drop, triple one drop for Ty to get out onto the board here. So while we're making theories, Ty's just making plays.
Yeah, and a card picked up here for Travis, which I believe came out of the sideboard, Young Pyromancer. I don't know if you noticed the power and toughness of all the creatures on the right hand side of the battlefield, but they all are 2/1s. And it
Hmm.
turns out making a bunch of 1/1s off of Young Pyromancer, pretty good against a bunch of 2/1s. Now, that is presuming that we get to untap with those. And we're actually going to go with the
And,
Shredder first,
and
which
no
I like
flyers are
because
gonna.
it provides a stable blocker, good enough,
Mhm.
almost like baits out the removal spell if there is one of the like Skyclave apparition or something like that. You'd rather have the Shredder die anyways. So really heads up play here for Travis.
Yeah, and here we go. Block and
Ooh,
then set the
the Ganjo.
Ganja, the land. All right. So yeah, Shredder hits the bin. Travis falls down to 12 life. High keeps all three creatures. Not a bad use of your land, that's for sure. But okay. See some
Yeah,
red
but
stuff. This is when you can go Pyromancer plus something if you're Travis and start filling the board.
yeah, honestly, that turn, if you're in Travis's seat, I think that is probably the happiest that you could possibly be, like the best outcome for you,
Mhm.
because you traded the removal spell for the creature that you wanted to die first, and now you get to follow it up with Pyromancer, kill your creature, make a 1/1, and you're effectively removing two attackers because you're killing one creature and then having the 1/1 to be able to block the other 2/1. So really, really good sequence here for Travis.
For sure. And like that is not a good rate on removal spell is paying that much mana to do a combat trick like that. So tie with now X1s, staring down X1s, play wedding announcement. This is a good one.
Okay.
This is a I mean, this is I don't know if you can out token a young pyromancer. And now we see, and is it Phoenix hit the hand? I'm sorry, arc like Phoenix hit the hand to go along with that lightning axe. So this is looking like Travis is in a pretty good spot here. But wedding announcement is a very powerful card. Just maybe in the wrong seat for this one. Maybe one standard seat might have done a little better in this particular circumstance because this is going to be a big turn for Travis.
Oh, second Pyromancer too. I mean, the announcement is nice because I mentioned that the creatures on the right hand side of the field for Ty all have one toughness, but once we
Hmm.
flip that announcement, they have two toughness. So it's a little bit harder to block the two toughness creatures more profitably with the Pyromancer tokens. But if you think about it, I mean, by the time that the wedding announcement flips, Travis might have 5, 6, 7 tokens in play. He can afford to just trade two or even three for one of Ty's creatures and not even really care about it that much.
Exactly, and eventually Treasure Cruise gets involved as you see it. This is the one that then pushes it over the top, and then you can just make tokens forever. So whether they're trading the rate of 2 for 1 or 1 for 1, I mean, it's still going to be some amount of time before that wedding announcement even flips. This is a lot of spells that Travis is going
Mm.
to get to cast between now and
Yeah, and a Phoenix. I mean, honestly, Travis might be in a position where he can just start attacking. Yeah, this Phoenix is getting to the red zone. Oh, the 1/1, love it. Get it in there.
then.
Turn it
Block?
sideways.
He's not going to block.
Yeah, we don't need it. We got three others to block with, so we'll be fine.
Well, Travis looking pretty good here. Tie back up against the wall. His team is up a match already, and in the middle seat, Justin Brickman is up a game. So it is not all lost here if you're Ty, but if you're Travis and you're rooting him on, this is it. You need this game to keep this match going, to keep your finals hopes alive. And you're looking in a pretty good spot here. I can't see if you'd be able to actually cast anything on this turn, but systematically just sort of wearing Tie down, got more removal lined up when you untap, and of course the tokens. So in a pretty good spot, all things considered. Tie trying to dig out,
Yeah, it
not seeing anything that's going to do it yet.
was a recruitment officer activation hitting Athalia's lieutenant, which mean, it's not that bad, right? You pump up your other stuff, but it's just if you look at the battlefield for Travis, we've gone so wide with that young
Yeah.
pyromancer. It's just going to be nearly impossible for Ty to be able to present any sort of lethal attack. I mean, maybe if something like Brave the Elements is involved, which that is a card that is was likely kept in, that's probably Ty's only saving grace at this point because without Brave, it's going to be basically impossible to make any sort of attack.
Yeah. His own life at 16, still feeling, at least somewhat comfortable on that. But here
Oh
we go.
God,
Travis is going to deploy the second Pyromancer and has his
jeez.
follow up. So this is going to be very, very much uh, on the way to the end of the game. If unless you probably called it exactly, it's going to have to be exactly a Brave the Elements kind of play to get Ty out of this one.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not getting through this wall of tokens without Brave. So that is really what Ty is looking for. But not only do you have to find Brave, you also have to find 12 power.
That's right.
And you don't
Oh
have that much
gosh.
time. Look at this attack. Yeah,
Oh,
Travis is
look
just
at
like,
that.
you
The
know what?
Pyromancer comes in too. Travis says, no fear. I'll swing.
Yeah, I mean it's got enough value. You have enough other stuff in play that you really don't mind trading that Pyromancer away, especially if it's going to put Ty in a 2-turn clock. So we see an attack for 7, put Ty to
Yeah.
9, 2 blockers. You block a token in the Pyromancer, and I believe 3, 4, 5, 6. It's still 9 damage. So Ty's going to need a good draw step here.
Yeah, look, if you're Travis there, it's a good job of recognizing that we're in the end game. We're at the point where I have the blockers. I don't need to play overly conservative. I don't need to win by 20 points of life. I just need to win by enough, which means I can swing with this. And if you block, you're not going to be able to come back for lethal. And it's already got me enough value. My hand looks good. So I'll do it. And I'm not going to overthink it. It's a really nice play there, recognizing where you're at in the game. And closing it out, hopefully in a timely manner. Don't give your opponent any time to draw back into things.
Corbin, I think I got a glimpse at Ty's hand, and I believe now I know I've been one to get cards in hand wrong a couple of times, but I think there might be a declaration in stone in Ty's hand. Now we talked about going wide with Young Pyromancer. If that is the case, and that card is in Ty's hand, that's a pretty clean way to answer these Pyromancer tokens.
True. Also, a reason to get aggressive with them if you're Travis,
Yeah.
because they could all just bite the dust. Um, Interesting. That is a play that makes that Pyromancer trading in combat pretty interesting. Is there you go, you nailed it. Deck and Stone. It's going to take out all of the tokens, but there is still a young Pyromancer, so it's got to be coupled with a big attack here. So we've got Travis at 12. Wedding announcement's going to do something in the end step. So
So
Ty
now I think it's
trying to
gonna.
find a way back into things here.
Yeah, Copper Code Vanguard. This is going to push 5 damage, and because Travis traded this the second Pyromancer last turn, does not really want
Right.
to. You don't really want to block here, so this is going to put Travis down to 7. The announcement's going to draw a card and flip, which makes the other creatures bigger. And on top of all of that, Ty still has that Thalia's Lieutenant in hand for next turn. So this is, but we thought this game was over, but that Deck and Stone was a massive, massive play here for Ty.
It was, especially coupled with the other Pyromancer actually biting the dust. Now, it might still be fine for Travis. Here, Travis has a hand of multiple removal spells, but only one red mana right now, right? Two red mana. Okay.
Two,
So,
two.
so be all right. He has access to both of the red cards in hand. That can get rid of 2 creatures. You'll also make a couple tokens. You have your bird. You can even start things off with a picklock transfer here. So this is a high upside type of turn for Travis, and there's some of that upside because one of the first times today we've seen, at least in the last couple of rounds, a timely Arclight Phoenix hit the graveyard off of Prankster. They're free the Fey, I
Yeah,
believe, is the spell
and
they're technically casting.
right. Yeah, and normally you'd want to take the removal spell here, but because Travis already has 2 removal spells lined up, figured just take the cantrip instead.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go ahead and opt here. So we can opt, put on a card. We can still cast our Fiery Impulse on the Copper Code Vanguard, return the Phoenix. Now, as we talked about earlier, this is the spot
Mhm.
where you would really want to try to find that Bravey elements because Travis has put up a wall of red creatures on defense, and if Brave comes up the top, I believe we might be done.
Yeah, what's interesting there, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Travis could have opted for 2 removal spells and instead opted for opt-in removal spell,
Yes, I believe so.
and now
Re-
swings in with the Pyromancer again, losing it in combat, but the birds get in. That puts die down to 3. All you need is
Hmm.
one Phoenix to get in next turn, and you've got a team of blockers for Travis. All of that aggression has ended with this spot. You have no more Pyromancers, but you do have tie down to 3.
Yeah, that was not a Brave the Elements. So Ty is going to concede the game, and that is Travis Williams taking this match 2-0 over Ty the Jolly. That was a very, very interesting match.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for Ty that Brave the Elements did not come up the top, but that Deck and Stone, we thought we had a game there, and that was still a pretty close game nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm still trying to work my way backwards through that one because Travis played in a way that I don't know how counterintuitive it might be, but you don't typically throw away your young pyromancers and just had no fear putting them into the red zone, do a little extra damage. But that extra damage resulted in speeding up the clock and not giving Ty time to dig out of it. And as a result, this semifinals is now knotted up at one match apiece. Justin Brickman and Vincent McKnight here in the Pioneer, I'm sorry, in the modern table, this is for all the marbles. Winner of this match gets it. Justin Brickman with Azorius Control up a game.
Yeah, we did say that we think that the Azorius control side of things for the modern match is relatively not a super heavy favorite, but I think it is a favorite nonetheless. Just the way to systematically kind of handle these threats one by one. And what Vincent is really looking for is the sideboard. So I want to take a look at Vincent's sideboard really quickly and see what we are working with. A couple of pick your poisons that could help against the ley line bindings and whatnot. Force a bigger fatal push. Not really anything we want to go towards. Thoughtseize could be pretty good at picking apart the counter spells, and a Veil of Summer as well. So what I was looking for is, additional threats. Sometimes these decks in the past have played like a Shieldred in the sideboard or some sort of other like card for the, quotes in for the grindy matchups, end quotes. And I don't see any of those grindy matchup cards here. So we'll have to
Mhm.
see exactly how this plays out. Looks like we got a Haywire Bite. That one can go into the red zone.
Yeah, a lot of small creatures here out of Vincent's side. And Justin just saying, yeah, sure, I'll figure it out eventually. A lot of cards in hand, just instantly passes the turn back. But here we go. Here's something we might be fighting over. It's a Court of Calling out of Vincent, which is going to run into a counter spell from Justin.
Love that counterspell art.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. And we got to see all kinds of them last game. He still had all of them in his hand. March of
Yeah.
Otherworldly Lights going to get rid of the halfling. And there you go. Now just the Haywire might in play for Vincent. And not a lot of hand to look at.
Picked up a Stone Rain, a little Fulminator
Uh,
Mage off the top of the deck.
I guess you play it,
Yeah,
right?
not doing a lot here, but holding it doesn't really accomplish that
Yeah.
much either. I guess you can save it for a Triumph at some point to try to keep just enough of domain for a binding, but that seems not super relevant. I guess using it now keeps just enough of a hard cast Solitude, so it's probably worth doing.
I guess I kind of like doing it now, but I don't know. It attacks.
It's true, it is a 2/2. What do you value more? Keeping just the 3 mana 2/2, just Gray Ogre in the end in the red zone?
Well, the thing is, Vincent has just no cards in hand, right? Like actual
Yeah.
nothing, just a peatland to crack. So, like, maybe you're at the point of the game where you're so desperate that you're saying maybe this thing just has to go the distance, and I just have to poke in damage. Because otherwise, I'd say, yeah, you just want to wasteland them with it, and then just kind of keep the game stalled and go from there. Because that's fine. Because if they don't have another land, it's huge for you. Um, but I don't really know in this particular circumstance. So, Vincent opts to just pass the turn, give Justin the go ahead to play a land, which he immediately does, and now has access to 5 mana and a plethora of spells.
Yeah, I think if you're in Vincent's position, the only way that you can win this game is that you have to assume that Justin has all lands in hand. And
Yeah,
in the event where he has all lands in hand, blowing up a land doesn't do anything.
right.
So I think that's maybe the assessment here for Vincent as we see an Agatha Soul Cauldron hit the battlefield. Not sure if that's really something that Justin even cares that much about. Although with the Fulminator Mage, it probably is now that I think about it. So that is a way for Vincent to actually do something here because now we can go Stone Rain, exile the Fulminator, counter on Haywire Might Stone Rain again, maybe. But I'm
It's a
sure Justin has
start.
something to
It's
say about
certainly a
that.
start, right? And then if you're able to piece anything together later, maybe it matters. So it is something worth caring about. And here we go. Solitude on Haywire Might.
Yeah, really heads up play here for Justin, targeting the Haywire Mite in response to the Cauldron, because
Yeah,
otherwise Vincent could go sack the Fulminator, and then use the Cauldron to exile the Mage, put a counter on the Haywire Mite, and
right.
then have that to be able to sacrifice. So heads up play for Justin.
Yeah, could have knocked Justin down to just 3 lands in that circumstance. And then if you're Vincent, well, you may not be in a great spot, but you'd have a little bit of action in terms of your P land and your Soul Cauldron, and hope your opponent doesn't have lands. So Justin able to head that off, very experienced. It looks like with this particular blue white deck here, and is able to just take control of the game. Already up a game, trying to punch his team's ticket to the finals. Here, the team trios 10K showdown in Indianapolis. Kahira
Mm,
is the play.
love it. 6 mana, 3/2, pumps your Solitude and gives it Vigilance, which is probably more relevant than pumping it.
Yeah, Kahira's getting some screen time today.
Oh yeah.
All right, I didn't catch the draw there for Vincent. Looks like we cracked to the Peatland as well. So definitely a struggle. Looking uphill at this point, trying to see if these cards get him out of it, or if this run comes to an end and gets his team a really nice semifinals appearance. Of course, everyone is competing for in these tournaments is competing for both points for the season long prizes, in addition to weekend prizes. And of course, Ultimate Guard is sponsoring prizes for almost everyone in the events as well, including side events. So definitely a lot going on here. So this is going to be a great finish for whichever team does uh, see it end here in the semifinals. So Vincent is looking at the board. It does not seem like he's finding anything that's gonna provide a way out.
No. Yeah, surveying the hand, surveying the board. I did the coverage trick where I like turned my head to see if I could, if that would change anything as to what the cards in Vincent's hand look like. But it
Yeah,
turns out that's not how cameras work. So unfortunately,
you got me
I
trying
think
it
one of
now.
them might be a land. But yeah, Vincent is Vincent's just gonna go ahead and pass the turn back, and Justin is in full control of this game. Where wants to find a Narset, I guess. We can start setting up the lock with Narset plus Gyre Reach Sanitarium. I guess that's the win condition for these control decks is,
Well, outside of this
well,
Kahira
yeah, I guess
beatdown,
this.
clearly.
Yeah.
I do think I might have spotted a Narset in hand, so we'll see. But yeah, this is the Guy Reach Sanitarium lock you mentioned is really kind of an interesting spot for these decks to end up at as a win condition. It's kind of like the old Elixir of Immortality. My win condition is never decking type play.
Yeah, there was a blue white mirror on. It was actually, I think it was Brickman versus Garrick Alford. When there was a match on camera earlier where I think it was Garrick resolved Narset Days Undoing, and then Brickman after the fact drew one card with a Narset in play, minus his Narset, found his own Days Undoing, and then did it back to Garrick, and it was just like, oh my goodness.
Love it. And that I don't love it at all. But it is those are legal plays.
Some people love it.
I would say Brickman's loving where this one's at because looking to put the finishing touches on this one, making sure that you don't forget about anything, you don't miss anything. So I'm going to play it safe here and just pass uh, the turn back again, I think is what happened. So, all right, Vincent McKnight, can you find a way out? First spell is to just tap a Boseiju, play a Boseiju.
Lotus Petal. And oh, we have
Is
to
it
main phase that just to channel Takanuma. Oh
Takanuma?
my
All right,
goodness.
sure. Justin says sure, you got it. Huh? There's two Yagmas. It's gonna have options, but this all it feels pretty low low agency for Vincent. How about that?
Yeah, Yawgmoth not doing a ton here. I mean, I guess it blocks the Kahira, assuming that, but I mean, Brickman probably has some way to answer it, even if that's the case. And funny enough, Vincent had to use the Boseiju to like legend rule Boseiju to cast the
Yeah.
Yawgmoth. So it's not even clear he has a fourth land in his hand to be able to cast it. Oh goodness. The double Boseiju there is pretty hilarious. When you're like this far behind and it's like,
Yeah,
I need this land to be able to cast my 4-drop, and of course it's the second Boseiju.
of course. Yeah. Well, all right. The attack comes in from Justin. Vincent. Well, we got another land. Found the one swap teeth.
All right. Break the Heath. Get a land for Vincent. Vincent is very animated. Very, very animated. I'm taking a look at the graveyard. Seeing land we want to get here. And then Brickman's gonna. Oh, we're just put the subtlety face up on the table. Love it. It's like, yeah, we're done. We can just stop doing this. Oh man.
Look, if you played blue white, you can't complain. You got to wait it out. You got to
I
wait it
know.
out. We'll put that spell on the stack. You can counter it at the appropriate time.
So it's so funny because Vincent is mid fetch, was about to get a land to play the Yawgmoth, obviously, and because Brickman revealed the subtlety, Vincent's like, you know what? I'm just gonna get a Dryad Arbor. How about that? Pendlehaven Dryad Arbor can trade for the Kihira, but then you're still just dead on board anyways, right? It doesn't matter.
Subtlety won't do anything except maybe flash into play and attack.
Yeah, well, I mean, Brickman just cast the subtlety now. that was pretty good. I like that. Reveal subtlety. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'll just get a different land.
All right, a subtlety comes into play.
Will Brickman decide to attack with his creatures? That is the question.
I think Vincent's ready for him too. What a good. This has been a really nice run, though. Think about it. Double Azorius control team, along with Mono White Humans, now is going to be making it to the finals of this tournament. Good weekend for Blue White, isn't it?
Yeah, and Vincent's just really happy to be here. I can appreciate that.
Yeah,
Vincent's having a
run.
lot of fun right now. All right, we're gonna block the Kihira. We're gonna Pendlehaven pump, and you're gonna take lethal damage.
Well, you can put a counter.
Turn. Oh,
We can
true.
sack. We can kill a land.
Yeah, blow up that archive.
Yeah.
We're
Oh,
targeting
get the
Flooded
fetch.
Strand. Justin's like, you know what? I'm not even gonna
All
fetch.
right, GG. Justin Brickman taking it down over Vincent Knight, picking up the win for his team. That sends Ken, Justin, and Ty into the finals of the Team Trios 10K Showdown in Indianapolis. Congratulations. Great run from them so far. And of course, congrats to their opponents for an incredible semifinals run here. This has been a lot of fun, Devin. We got one more.
Yeah, we got one more match to see whether or not this double blue eye control team can be defeated in the finals. If we can just take a look at the bracket one more quick time to see what the other side of the brackets look like, and we can give you a little bit of a preview of that. I don't know if that's available to us. So the other side of the bracket was Crate, Grenke, and Hoos. That's the match that we watched on the very first quarterfinal match, and they were playing against Dunn, Bader, and Aldrich. So not exactly sure what the outcome of that match, if it has been decided yet, but that will be their finals opponent. And yeah, this has been an absolute blast to watch. We get to see the Mono White Mono White versus Phoenix in the Pioneer side of things, and a lot of good stuff in Standard and Pioneer, Standard and Modern as well. So yeah, very very excited to bring you guys the finals. I don't know if we're going to take a look at maybe the next events before we let you go on break, but if we have that slide available, there you go. St. Louis, we are going to be at next June 22nd and the 23rd. We're going to have 10K Modern Showdown on Saturday with a 5K Pioneer Trial on Sunday. And not only that, we also have the rest of Season 2. If we can get that graphic up on screen, in case you guys want to play in any of these lovely events. As you see, $65,000 in cash prizes across all of these events. July 13th and 14th in Chicagoland, we're going to be playing some Modern and Legacy. August 24th and the 25th in Madison, we got some Modern and another Team Showdown. September 14th and 15th in Louisville, we have Modern and Standard. And then last but not least, November 2nd and the 3rd in Indianapolis, Modern and Pioneer. So yeah, Corbin, I'm very excited to see who we got in the finals here, and I think it should be an amazing time.
Yeah, I think the other match is still going. The note, by the way, is that both teams that make the finals will qualify for the upcoming regional championship in Dallas. Devin, I know you said you'll be there playing. I think I'll be there covering that one. So a lot to look forward to, a lot to play for all of these teams. And that is, we've got one finals team set. The other is finishing up off camera right now, and we will be back on the other side, ready to bring you the finals of Team Trios 10K Showdown here at NRG Indianapolis.